In regards to the military, could we change topics specifically to people who tried to hold the U.S. military complex accountable and what happens to them? Can we?
Like
can
who?
we
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
Who am I talking about here?
I
Can you guys guess?
Kennedy. John F. Kennedy.
No, yeah, sort of, but that's still
Julio
Robert Kennedy.
Assange. Julio.
Julian Assange.
Julian Assange.
I'm ready.
Julian
Let's
Assange.
go.
Yes.
Cassandra, who's Julian Assange?
Julian Assange is possibly the biggest hero in the world, in my opinion, who should have a parade and a day named after him. But no, he is the founder of WikiLeaks also.
So what's going on with Julian Assange?
So today,
I heard Trump was going to pardon him.
I heard that too.
Yeah,
But that
we
was
all
BS.
heard that, and it was shocking news to his legal team and his family and his friends,
And everyone.
who were devastated a couple hours later when Pastor Mark Burns tweeted that it was fake news and that he had bogus sources.
Let me pull up this story we got from Newsweek. Is Trump pardoning Julian Assange? Pastor Mark Burns' tweet sends rumors flying. So I don't know if they have the tweet pulled up, but Mark Burns, a verified Twitter user, they don't. And he tweeted that that he was going to, what does he say? He went on to say disregard.
News.
Yeah, he said breaking news. They don't have the tweet in this article. That's trash. But everybody kind of went nuts. And they all wanted to believe it. Everybody wanted it to happen,
I
left
cried.
and right.
I was in tears, full
Left,
on.
but the left and the right. The populist left, the populist right were like, this is amazing. Trump should do this. The establishment was very angry.
Oh, Bill Crystal is fun.
I remember sending out a message when that happened. I'm like, okay, we don't know who the source is. We don't know if this is true. We have no information that verifies this, but let's keep this going because maybe Trump will see this and change his mind.
Didn't Trump talk about it? Or he talked about Snowden.
I mean, I got hundreds of messages right after.
Yeah,
that
I
tweet
saw
went
your
up.
status update. You said journalists who wouldn't spit on me if I was on fire are now contacting me like crazy. Was that what you said?
Yeah, all these mainstream media journalists are like, "Hey, Cass, buddy, old pal,
Wouldn't spit on
what
me
have
if I
you
was on
heard
fire."
about Julian?" And I'm like, "Oh, are you guys writing another hit piece on me, or you just want some info? You're gonna have to read Gateway Pundit." I was such a bitch.
That's funny.
Sorry.
Well,
but-
so it's fake news, huh?
Yeah. Apparently, I mean, it's possible that Trump planted it so that he could feel it out and see if there was support, which is why I was encouraging people to really tweet it.
Well, the pastor had a photo of him talking to Trump in what looked like a confidential way. That was his literal picture.
Wait. Trump was talking to
the pastor. There's a picture of the pastor.
He definitely has ties to Trump.
And Trump said he was considering pardoning everybody, right? Literally, those
anybody
were
who
his words.
talked to him.
Yeah.
So like basically,
Today, Julian Assange's legal team put in the official formal request for a pardon.
I think it'll happen. You know why?
Why?
Because Trump wants to give a big middle finger to the deep state, to the intelligence agencies who screwed with him and jammed him up for years.
But he still also has people like neocons like Grinnell and stuff surrounding him being like, WikiLeaks is bad. They're so bad. They hurt national security. I'm 50-50 on it.
But I don't know. Trump might be like, I'm going to burn it all down on the way out.
I hope
not.
I hope you're right. But if you look at Trump's relationship with WikiLeaks, it's extremely bipolar. It's like you have a crazy girlfriend that's like, I love you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you. If you remember, Trump said officially he loved WikiLeaks. I love the WikiLeaks. Then, when he became president, he pretended not to even know who Julian Assange was.
Yeah.
He talked about literally executing Chelsea Manning. So when we're talking about his record
Snowden,
about
right?
whistleblowers, and Snowden, he talked about executing Edward Snowden. When we talk about his record on whistleblowers, it's not the best. I hope you're right. We'll see,
listen,
but come on, time is
Julian
ticking,
Assange
Trump.
is not
I mean,
a
if we're going to
whistleblower.
do it. Stop wasting everyone's time and stop raising people's false hopes about this. Let's do this already.
Julian Assange is not a whistleblower. He's a journalist.
Correct.
That's it. And you can dislike what he's published, but I can't remember who was talking about this, but it was like on Fox News, and it was some Republicans saying, maybe one of the good ones or something, saying, when the New York Times got the NSA leaks, were they charged and arrested? WikiLeaks gets information and they publish it.
Well, this is the very dangerous thing that's happening right now with Julian Assange. If the United States is able to get away with this, anyone reporting anything anywhere in the world, regardless of their citizenship, can be arrested, sent to the United States, and essentially sent away to jail for telling the truth.
Here's the best part.
Yeah.
All of this basically confirms the initial arrest of Assange was bunk.
Yeah.
What was it? The charge was like a statutory rape
Split
charge?
condom. Right?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, they never actually charged him. They never charged him in that.
They
It was
imprisoned
an
him for what,
investigation.
7 years?
He was in the Ecuadorian embassy with asylum. He was technically a political refugee.
Yes, they were
while
talking
spying
about
on him.
secret grand jury indictments, which the mainstream media was saying was a conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
the
they called
mainstream
me a
media,
liar all
yeah, the
the
mainstream
time.
media is like, "There's no secret grand jury indictment against Assange. He should just leave. He's wasting
Come-
everyone's
Yeah,
time.
he
He's
came
creating a
out-
spectacle." The mainstream media was literally on that point, like white on rice, and they were absolutely wrong.
Yeah, I believe it was 2013. The Stratfor leak came out, and they laid out what they wanted to charge Julian with, and Espionage Act was listed
Yep.
in there. And I would tweet about it all the time, and all these reporters would be like, "You're such a conspiracy theorist. He could walk out of there anytime he wants." And I'm like, "No, he cannot."
And then what happened?
Exactly.
The door got kicked in and they dragged him out.
During the Trump administration,
Yes.
and there's wheeling and dealing behind the Trump administration with the Ecuadorian embassy, with the United Kingdom to get him out of there, and that's exactly what they did. So we have to also understand on the backdrop of Trump doing this to Assange, is he going to pardon him?
But why did Trump do it to Assange?
Well, allegedly it's because Assange wouldn't give up his sources, which he is known for doing.
The sources of what?
He still
The
won't
DNC
call
links.
Chelsea Manning his
Yes.
source.
Right.
Yes. So we have to
Manning
give
So
it up.
hold on. What? The source of what?
The DNC leaks.
That's right.
Yep.
If you look at the big picture, it seems that Trump was looking at Assange and he said, "I got the deep state on my back, accusing me of working with Russia, and they're claiming that that was used to help me win. And if Assange just said, here's who was the actual source was, boom, done.
Yeah.
Russiagate gone overnight."
Yeah, but Russiagate's over. It's been done. People who were just paying attention or had a pulse understood that it was bunk from the very beginning. Why would he try to appease
No,
the mainstream
listen.
media to such a point? Why would he try
Yeah, I'm
to
with
play
that.
up to the mainstream media to such a point
They
to
don't get it,
send
man.
an innocent man to jail
No.
for publishing
You don't-
information?
you don't get it.
No, I get what you're saying. You're
Regular
saying
people believed the media.
some of them still
For
do.
years,
Yes,
they said Trump was a Russian asset.
Yep.
of course. I'm not denying that. You're
One
totally
guy,
right.
one guy went on MSNBC and says, "We must entertain the possibility that Donald Trump has been working with the Russians since 1987.
Yeah.
That was a Soviet Union.
Eric
Like a
Swalwell
Soviet
said that
Union
he was a
secretly.
Russian agent.
Yep.
As he was banging
Banging.
Miss
Uh-huh,
Fang
yeah.
Fang. As he was
Miss
with Miss
Fang
Fang Fang. Like, it's crazy. It's absolute. And he was talking about honeypots
Did you-
as well,
did
saying
you-
that there was Russian honeypots with.
Did you wait?
with
Did you hear
Trump.
what they said on Fox News about Swalwell and Fang Fang?
No.
They were like, when you're a 2 and she's a 10, it's a honeypot.
Hold on. There's a Babylon Bee article that is absolutely brilliant with their headline today, and the headline reads: Chinese spy assigned to date Eric Swalwell begs to be sent to labor camp instead.
Oh my God.
And I'm like that maybe happened.
Probably farts
You know,
too much.
it's probable. But again, when we talk about this whole Russian collusion thing, if he's playing up to the mainstream media so they don't call him a Russian asset, what is he trading in for that? Sending an
He didn't get
innocent
it.
male and sending a very... I mean, Cassandra, what do you think about this?
I mean, I was a witness for the defense in
Yeah.
the extradition hearings, so I mean, I personally testified kind of against Trump because I was given information that Donald Trump personally ordered Julian's arrest. So, I mean, I'm personally not overly confident that he's going to do a pardon, but I'm hopeful, you know, maybe.
How is it that Trump didn't learn? And listen, the media was spitting on him every single day, and he thinks they would ever give him a fair shake.
Yeah.
He could have actually gotten evidence that, you know, about who the source was for the DNC leaks, and the media would just say it's fake news.
Right.
They would say Julian Assange lies and claims fake news, but we know it's Russia. What would he get
WikiLeaks
out of
has
it?
never had to redact or apologize for a story in history. They've never once published something that was false.
Retract. They do redact.
Retract.
Right,
Sorry.
right,
Did
yeah.
I say redact?
I think so. Does it?
So she said retract.
Yeah.
You made a
Oh, okay.
You said
Radowski.
both.
But if you look at what they're accused of essentially what the New York Times does, what the Washington Post does
Right.
every day.
All
So-
these websites use the WikiLeaks model now.
Exactly.
For submitting, you know,
No.
anonymous
You guys
stories.
are wrong. WikiLeaks does not do what the New York Times does. The New York Times is a propaganda arm for the establishment.
Right.
WikiLeaks publishes true information.
Sorry, what the New York Times used to do.
Purports to do.
Okay.
Do you guys remember back when the Palin emails went out on WikiLeaks?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Washington Post set up a Twitter account that was still active last year when I looked for it. But they were calling for volunteers to help go through Palin's emails, and then look at what they did with Clinton's emails.
Look what they did
it's
with
just
Hunter
so-
Biden's emails.
Yeah, but now they're all talking about it because
Now.
they want Kamala.
Yes.
Yep.
But-
Kamala.
Whatever.
Gosh, I
I'm
don't
gonna
You're gonna
say
be
her
put in
name
the
wrong
gulag there, Cassandra.
because I have no respect for her whatsoever, and I don't
She's
give
just
a crap
so
what her
awful.
name actually is.
I got to clarify about Assange. So in the beginning, he released a bunch of sensitive information, and then they charged him with statutory rape. Is that right?
No. Okay.
I mean, hold on. On the surface,
do you want the timeline
basically.
here? So basically, he got these cables from Manning. They got out, or WikiLeaks was spending about 9 months so far, like redacting all these names and making sure that nobody was going to get hurt because of it. That they were taking out locations of people who were sensitive, who were, in Afghanistan or whatever. But then Luke Harding from The Guardian released a book that had the password, and a former WikiLeaks employee put out a link to the full file, unredacted. So combined, these two pieces of information put together led to websites like Cryptome and Pirate Bay all putting out the unredacted files. And so Julian attempted to contact the State Department and be like, hey guys, we have a problem. We've been redacting everything, but it's coming out. And the State Department basically told him to screw off. And so they ultimately ended up having to release everything. But it leads to an interesting question. WikiLeaks wasn't actually the first to publish the unredacted files. So how come the 50 other outlets that published before WikiLeaks didn't get charged and WikiLeaks did get charged? Why isn't Luke Harding sitting in an embassy somewhere?
So there was a case in Sweden where the government was basically accusing him of, I think it was a condom broke or something.
Yeah, a condom broke and there was a love triangle and
Well, he was having sex with an underage woman?
No.
No.
There's never even been an allegation of that at all.
I guess they wanted to get him an STD test. That's what it was? And so the police were like, yes, we're going to arrest him for rape. And so he was wanted for questioning. He said Sweden has an extradition treaty with the U.S. and they're trying to get me. So he was actually arrested, wasn't he? He was arrested by British authorities and put in a British prison.
No, but he was on house arrest.
Yeah. He was arrested and he went to a British jail or prison. Then they put him on house arrest with an ankle monitor, right? And then he went to the Ecuadorian embassy.
He was arrested for rape charges?
No,
he was never charged with
he was
rape.
never-
But we have to understand, the American mainstream media ran with headlines saying Julian Assange is a rapist who's now going to get Americans killed all over the world.
Women Against Rape, a feminist organization, even came out and said that by calling a condom breaking rape, you are doing a disservice to rape victims everywhere.
Yes.
But we have to understand there was many mainstream media publications
Yeah, it
that
was
ran with
disgusting.
that. And I remember being at the court proceeding for Chelsea Manning and it coming out that the leak didn't lead to anyone dying. But that was the major thing that the mainstream
Pentagon
media was
testified
running
that.
with. The Pentagon
Listen.
admitted that.
Julian Assange, I'll tell you what my opinion is. The whole Swedish investigation was dropped. Like the moment they snatched him up and they're like, okay, we got him. Okay, forget all that stuff. We don't care anymore. It was very obvious Julian Assange was right the whole time. It was an excuse to get him to Sweden. They could send him back to the U.S. That was the big plan. They wanted to lock him down, lock him up. They got him locked up in the Ecuadorian embassy for years, hindering his ability to work. Finally, he gets pulled out by Trump. Julian Assange was a thorn in the side of the political establishment and the deep state intelligence agencies. He was doing work as a journalist, and he was doing good work. And so they said, well, we can't have that. We own all the other journalists. I'm saying that figuratively because they're all very much in the bag. I think most of these people who work for these companies are activists who just love the Democrats and the establishment.
Thomas Jefferson said that the political parties will always maintain a standing army of news writers who will do whatever the party wishes.
So Julian Assange, they couldn't control.
But pulled out is one term. Getting him out of there and charging him and now making him face charges is another term. So that's also another aspect that we have to understand here. Because he is facing very serious charges that could lead him to have jail for the rest of his life.
Isn't it
170 years.
Exactly.
Espionage Act charges.
Trump
Yes.
better pardon this dude, I swear. Look, they're saying
I'm going to clip that myself.
Yes,
Well, Trump
do
better
it.
pardon this dude, I swear.
Well-
hold on. Listen, Donald Trump is facing criminal investigations at the state level. Joe Biden says he's not going to go after him. So, I was reading this thing. It's really fascinating. It was from Ulysses S. Grant. He wrote about the Civil War, and he said, if anybody feels that they're oppressed by the government, it's their right to revolution. But you have to recognize you're putting your life, your property, and your guarantees of citizenship on the line when you do. Well, they're basically threatening Trump supporters and Trump with that already. COVID's taken away people's property, their life, their pursuit of happiness and all of that. And so their choices are extremely limited right now. It's like, what do I do? Stand up, fight back, or lose everything? Donald Trump is staring down the barrel of these state-level criminal investigations. They are threatening his life, his property, and his guarantees as a citizen after all this goes down. After he leaves office, assuming that's what happens. So Trump has every reason to fight to the bitter end. But if Trump loses support of people by not making sure he abides by what the actual populist right and many on the populist left, as much as they might not like him, if he just says, I'm going to cozy up to the establishment, fine, I won't pardon Assange. Well, then who's going to be supporting him when he's a citizen and they're going after him with these crazy
No one.
investigations?
They'll steamroll him and throw him under the bus if he does that.
And people are going to be like, well, a lot of people support and respect Trump. He needs to show the people that he's going to stand up to the establishment. He needs to pardon people like Assange and Snowden and Ross Ulbricht. Is that
Yes,
Ulbricht?
Ross Ulbricht.
Ulbricht.
Yep.
He needs to tell he needs. I don't think necessarily going to guarantee him more support. He's always going to have his base, but I think
I would support him if he did that.
if he pardoned
We
those
need
people,
a freedom fighter. Yeah.
What if he pardoned all nonviolent drug offenders who didn't plead down, did a review?
That's a big thing. I'm not too concerned with all or none things right now. That's too complex. There's just some people that need to not be charged
I
first.
think Trump should rubber stamp the pardons, just dishing them out.
Like you
he
said,
should make it
that-
rain pardons.
I just
Yes.
want, everybody likes to lump in Julian with all these other people, particularly Snowden. And I think that Julian's situation is much more dire and it deserves to
Absolutely.
be discussed on
Snowden
its
Yeah, it's
own.
like almost
Same.
fraudulent the way they went after the guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was so obvious to everybody. These accusations against him, the smears in the media. He was doing real work, publishing real journalism for the first time in a long time. And you know what? The powers that be are like, listen, our friends, you want to know how it works? When you work for these news organizations, they're called access journalists. They're like, I better not make the CIA angry because they give me great scoops.
And WikiLeaks embarrassed a lot of those journalists. Like, it came out that they were, getting slipped stories from the DNC, that they were, sliding over the debate questions to Hillary Clinton. Like, WikiLeaks embarrassed the media just as much as embarrassed politicians.
Yeah, they
and
should.
so if Donald...
Sorry, no, go right ahead.
If Donald Trump really wants to get back at these people, Donald Trump has spent 4 years being like, the fake news, we need real news. If he actually believed that and he actually wanted to fight against fake news and against the deep state that's been going after him for 4 years, this is the best way to do it. Stick it to them by showing them what real journalism is and freeing Julian Assange.
And more than that, a broad pardon to protect Julian from
Yes.
other bunk BS charges.
A very broad preemptive pardon.
Yeah.
Another thing that came out that you just brought up was the fact that the DNC wasn't just directing the news, but literally writing the news, where mainstream media journalists sent articles for approval from the DNC. And we're talking about, this is the mainstream media, this is the establishment. Many people had to resign in disgrace because they got caught red-handed, just being puppeteers for the establishment, not actual critical thinkers and safeguards in the fourth branch of the government. They weren't any of that. They were puppeteers, horse-stream media prostitutes that literally regurgitated their talking points to the T.
This is a bipartisan thing, too. You guys were both at the DNC, right?
Yes.
Outside the DNC, they were chanting, Hillary cheats, thank you, WikiLeaks.
Yeah.
After Bernie conceded.
Yep.
And that chant went on for a long time. And then they started taking away people's signs because there were people who had WikiLeaks signs and Bernie signs. DNC people came around with the trash bags, started throwing them all away.
They had
But-
white noise machines, didn't they?
Yeah.
Wow.
To
But now
drown out.
now you have this new generation of younger leftists who don't like Assange and don't know anything about him.
Well, it's because they don't know. They think politics started in 2017 or
Yeah.
whatever. They're like, Orange Man bad. And they don't remember.
Julian
None
Assange
of them
is
had
Russian.
to bury their friends like we did after they like got shipped off to Afghanistan. I mean, I got mostly involved in politics after my friend died in Afghanistan. And so when WikiLeaks put out those releases, the war logs, I was like, this is it. This is something that I will forever support and stand for. But these people, they think that politics just started, and they don't understand the...
Trump is bad. We got to vote for Biden. He's just an old man. It's
What was the war logs?
It was
Was
200 and...
Was collateral murder part of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was a whole bunch of cables and documents that showed, the cost of war, essentially. It showed U.S. government killed a Reuters camera. Was he a photojournalist?
And then they lied
Listen.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Collateral Murder was probably one of the biggest releases
It's
from
on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
It was.
Mm,
It
yeah,
got
was.
taken down a lot.
It's a video showing people walking out of a building and then they just like kill them all. And it turns out it was like a Reuters journalist.
Not just them, but also the ambulance that came afterwards,
yeah.
and they shot up an ambulance with a small child inside.
Yeah.
We also didn't really know how many civilians were dying or just how much death was happening in general. So by releasing all these cables, people in America got a chance to actually see what this war was costing us and what it was costing people all over the world. And support, because of WikiLeaks directly, support for the wars went down and people started getting brought back. And so...
And
The truth shall set you free.
Some other guy released an unredacted report, and Julian got busted for it.
It's a little complicated, but basically the files were being held online and there was a really encrypted password that you needed to get to it. But different news organizations that were working with WikiLeaks all had this password so that they could all go, because there were so many files. So they partnered with like The Guardian and all these newspapers. They all had access to it. But then Luke Harding wrote a book about WikiLeaks and he put the passcode in the book. And the passcode had not changed. And so instead of being able to go through and redact all these files, it all got put on Pirate Bay and Cryptome.org and all these websites. And so Julian, it was either, pull the trigger or, lose the story.
I still remember this collateral murder video because it was absolutely shocking to finally see the true reality of what was going on there, and to see helicopter pilots laugh and be so inappropriate when it came to executing what then we found out was journalists. We also found out that Reuters was asking the U.S. government what happened, what was going on here, and the U.S. government just kept denying
They
the
lied.
family members, the journalists, their friends, their company. They couldn't find anything about what actually happened, how they died, until this video came out, which again just finally showed the American people the reality of war. Because we have to understand, this Iraq war was a mainstream media war. It was squeegee cleaned. There was PR talking points. There
Weapons of mass
there
destruction and yellow cake.
There was embedded news reporters within the military showing you a perspective of "Go America, it's great."
Helping kids.
Not the perspective that the American people saw in Vietnam, where journalists actually saw and reported on the realities of war, which made a lot of people anti-war in the United States.
Right.
We didn't have that. But finally, with WikiLeaks, we finally got the reporting that we got during the Vietnam War, and people started to finally ask questions and saying, this is not protecting my freedoms. These guys with sandals in the middle of the desert aren't a threat to me. And we have bloodthirsty psychopaths who are literally foaming at the mouth, celebrating and are happy that they just shot up innocent people and journalists.
That was the video footage was from the Bush administration, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. And then it carried on under the Obama administration.
Yeah, no matter what you feel about Manning, too. I remember during the trial, Manning was like, it was like watching children torturing ants with a magnifying glass. And I never forgot that. It always stuck with me.
And
This
for
reminds
what?
me of
For what? For Halliburton contracts?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
To gain strategic territory surrounding Iran because people like John Bolton wanted to celebrate in
It's
Tehran.
not even
For the
strategic
opioids.
territory. The Iraq War made Iran more powerful, and it allowed them to expand their sphere of influence in the region, which makes them a bigger threat against the U.S. geopolitical neocon power. So it didn't even serve the original objective that they said it was serving, and it did the opposite of that. Again, order out of chaos, creating more problems, which later on they're going to have an excuse to solve, which is absolutely crazy.
I just had a crazy idea. What if we just take the troops out of these countries
Whoa.
and bring them back here.
What? Right?
Well, the NDAA this year has
Trump
a
said he's gonna veto
provision
it.
in it. No. They're trying to pass a provision within the NDAA that would prevent a president from sending troops back home.
Okay, so hold on.
Yeah.
The NDAA is the National Defense Authorization Act.
Yes.
It's basically them approving the budget and spending for all of this stuff when it comes to war. And Trump keeps saying he's going to veto it, and every time he does, I just laugh, and I just want to like put my feet up and like crack a beer and be like, do it. Just do it. I mean, he's threatening to repeal Section 230, which is a big mistake. But I didn't Rand Paul jam up the NDAA as well?
Yes,
Yeah,
he did a
does
whole
always.
filibuster.
He always
And he's
filibusters.
doing and he's now speaking out against it as well, and he's bringing up the fact that under this NDAA a president has unlimited power to send troops anywhere in the world, start any war he wants, lead people to death easily just with a decree, but sending them home he can't now without congressional approval. So that's in the new NDAA that they're trying to get passed.
Man,
which is
this political
That's
establishment.
sick.
You know what? It's like the people in power right now. I guess what I was describing it is like the neocons slapped social justice as a wrapping, and now they're like Democrats. I guess it's like the same thing.
No, the neocons infest both parties. They always have. And, as soon as the right started being a little bit anti-war, Bill Kristol slithered over to the Democrats and was like, "Hi
Whoa,
guys,"
wait.
peeking out from his festering trash bag.
Wait, you say slither
I
though, but
really
what's
hate
it called when like slugs like ooze their way?
Yeah,
What's it called?
yeah. Sliming.
Sliming their way. That's more
Yeah.
like
We
snakes
call
are all right.
militants
Yeah.
rather than neocons. These militants.
No, well,
Bill
but
No,
like
they're
the point
different.
the point I'm making is
Neocons are a very specific group of people.
They don't fight
what I'm
wars.
saying is the
They
difference
call
between a
for wars.
neocon and a
What's-
neolib
it's not
is that
conservative
one
to go
is
to
like
war, though.
pro social justice.
Like
Right.
it's not a conservative thing to go to war. That's a very liberal
not. It's the opposite.
action.
Yeah.
It's both parties, though. These people have infested both parties.
MAGA
And I
party.
don't even think it's fair to say that it's just, Republicans or that all the neocons have went over to the Democrats, because it's not true. We still have Dan Crenshaw. They have Bill Kristol. These people from PNAC all have spread out all over the place. And everybody just seems to forget all the things that they've lobbied for and the things that they've done. But if God forbid, you tweeted 15 years ago some kind of joke that's now perceived racist, they're not going to forget that. But if you lobbied for the Iraq war and lied us into war,
You'll get elected president.
yeah,
Yep.
you can fit in with both parties. They'll put you on MSNBC.
Mitch
anytime.
McConnell will say, "Please don't vote for Trump. We need Joe Biden to win so he can blow up more kids."
You guys know who Daniel Ellsberg is?
Yes,
Yeah.
hero.
Yes.
Yeah, he released the Pentagon Papers, which basically got us out of Vietnam. And
He's
Boom.
a big advocate of Julian.
Yeah. Well, also, we just had the Afghanistan papers, which were just released. And again, just a blip on the mainstream media and then never really talked about again. Showed, again, almost exact similarities to, the Vietnam War when it specifically came to a pointless endeavor that doesn't help anyone except for the military contractors, with even mainline U.S. military officials saying there's absolutely no reason we're in here, but we still are.
This country flourished best when there was an honest, well, I shouldn't say there was an honest press, but when there were good journalists doing the work, when there was a balance between the government and the people and public right to know. The weird things that Luke brought up, like the heart attack gun, we eventually learn about these things because journalists did their job. But these people thought it would just be so easier if the journalists were just in our pockets. If we can feed them these stories and they'll be too scared to speak out against us. They'll support the establishment, get the activists in these organizations. And now there's none. So there's no challenge to a runaway broken system. The corrupt keep corrupting, and the system is decaying rapidly because of it.
And independent media is the only institution still calling it out, and that's why we're seeing a lot of it being
But
just absolutely censored.
We won't exist anymore, a lot of us, if Julian Assange is thrown in prison.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of precedent is this setting? As soon as, we have some ultra-left administration in there, they're going to toss all the right-wing journalists in jail. The right's going to toss all the leftist journalists in jail. Like, this case sets up a horrifying precedent, and people need to think about it think about the opposite party. And if you would want the opposite
Right.
party having this power.
People are bad at that.
People are, they don't think beyond what's happening now. And I think one of the issues too, Glenn Greenwald brought up an interesting point, that he said something like, if there's one group of people that has the complete inability to learn, it's liberals who advocate for censorship. But I think what I was realizing when we had some of these guests on who were younger and they're leftists, a lot of these people who are advocating for censorship they're young. They didn't go through Occupy Wall Street or the anti-war protests, so they didn't see the problems caused by all of this. Now they're like just entering politics for the first time, and they're all going yay and cheering for the establishment and, raising their fist in support of the machine. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.